This is the plaintiff, Kathleen Frances Durfee. She says her ex-daughter-in-law, the defendant, owes her money she loaned her for her car and a baby shower. The ungrateful woman took the money all right, but now refuses to pay it back, and that's just not right. She's suing for $1,853.59, every penny of the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Teresa Ann Slack. She says she's known the plaintiff for 25 years and can't believe this woman's now turning on her like this and suing her for the money she gave her to help her out. There was never any mention of this money being a loan. She was helping her granddaughter by gifting her this money, and shame on her for trying to now claim it was a loan. She's accused of not giving back.
All parties, please raise your right hand. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Leon is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Durfee, you are suing Ms. Slack, your former daughter-in-law, for monies that you say you loaned to her that she refuses to pay back, and your defense is that these were not loans, these were gifts. So how long was your son with Ms. Slack?
Just about 10 years. A little over 10 years, I believe. Well, that's how long they were married.
Okay, you were shaking your head. Ms. Slack, how long were you with her son?
25 years.
Oh, okay, but maybe married 10 years?
Your Honor, we were married for 10.
I think that's, okay. All right, so she has been in your life for 25 years, Ms. Durfee?
That's correct.
Okay, so your son and she start going through a divorce in 2018, and you and she still have a good relationship. There's a granddaughter involved who's how old?
22.
She is 22.
Okay, and you still have a connection to your former daughter-in-law because on June 9th of 2019, she calls you up saying what?
That she couldn't afford the auto insurance that she had on the policy with my son. And could I help her out? Is there anything? Could I get her a better price? Could I, do something? And I said, let me look into it.
Because your job is what? What do you do for a living?
I'm an insurance agent, broker.
Okay, so did you find her a better price?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then what did you do?
I wrote the policy for her.
Right, and then did you actually add yourself onto the policy so that you would pay part and she would pay part and it would become less for her?
No, Your Honor. The reason I added myself on, which I had explained to her at the time, the particular company that I wrote her with, you get a better rate if there's more than one driver on the policy. So I said, obviously, I couldn't add my son on without asking his permission, because that's against the law. So I said, do you have somebody else you would like to add? And she said, no, she didn't. I said, well, what I can do for you, since I know you and you know me, with your permission, I can add myself on. And then that way you'll get the better rate. It was about $200
so it was
savings.
just two. So you added yourself, so she would get a better rate, but it's all insurance for the one car. It's not two policies in one. It's literally you just added yourself as another driver.
That's correct.
Okay, could you get in trouble for that because you know you're not another driver?
No, because it could be that I could occasionally have to use her car.
All right, so why is it that you paid the policy instead of just telling her, here's what it'll cost, I've brought it down a great deal for you, go ahead and pay it? Why did you pay it?
Well, because she didn't have the money, first of all. And second of all, if you pay it in full up front, you get another discount, a nice discount. So
okay, and then what? According to you, what was the plan? That she would pay you off how?
I said to her, you can either pay me weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whichever works best for you.
Did she ever pay you?
Not a dime.
Okay, so that's the auto insurance. Then at some point, I don't know if it's before or after the auto insurance, she reaches out to you because she's having a problem in her building. She is supposed to have come up with renter's insurance and shown it to the building, and she didn't. So what did you do? That's correct. So she called me again, explained the issue, and I said, okay, let me work up a price for you. So I rated up the policy. I presented it to her. She accepted it. And that also, again, paying in full gives you a discount. So I said, I'll do the same thing with that, and you add that to the auto, and you pay me back for both. She said, okay. Did she pay you at all for the renter's insurance? Not a dime. Now, at some point, she tells you that she's having brake problems with her car, and her car needs repairing. Tell me what happened with that.
Okay, well, she called me again and was saying that the brakes in her car were gone and she needed new brakes. She had a friend who would do the work, but she needed the parts. I said, well, tell me what the parts are that you need. So she told me, and I said, okay, we'll add this to the list. I went and got the brake parts.
Now that when you aptly said, we'll add that to the list, did you ever actually make a list and have her sign it? Did you ever put anything in writing with her?
No, just the policies themselves.
Okay. Now, after that, the divorce got a little nasty, correct?
And
she said to you, I would like to get a divorce mediator so we could wrap this up. It's $500 that he's got to pay him $500. I've got to pay. I don't have it. Can you loan me the $500? Correct?
That's correct.
Did she pay you back anything of the divorce mediator?
No, she did not.
All right. And lastly, we have the baby shower, which is for her daughter. She left that in your planning hands, and you had expected her to pay half of the baby shower, and she never ended up paying that either. Correct?
That is correct.
Now let me hear from you, Ms. Slack. What is going on?
Thank you, Your Honor. I did go to my mother-in-law. I had a very, very nasty divorce with her son. I believe she gave it to me as a gift because she was helping my daughter out and myself to get by with where I was living at and stuff like that. She offered to help me out because her son wasn't helping me out with anything. He helped me out with rent. That was it. And then he suddenly stopped and I had nothing. I always could go to her for anything. She always said I can go to her for anything. You always come to me. I have your back all the time. And now suddenly this all comes up right after my daughter passed away. It's a year and a half later. She's asking for all this money back. It was a gift. She offered to help me out so I could get help with my daughter as well, to getting her back and forth to work.
This is a different daughter, correct? The one that passed away is not her granddaughter.
It's a different daughter, yes. My daughter that passed away is a different daughter.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
But tell me, somebody could help you out by loaning you money, or somebody could help you out by gifting you money. So if you're assuming that all these things are gifts, do you have any evidence that they were gifts as opposed to loans?
She offered to help me out, and it wasn't in any writing. It was verbal. I've always had verbal conversations with my ex-mother-in-law. I've never had any issues until recently.
Well, but why? Well, I don't know about that, because I'm looking at texts and emails for a very long time asking you to pay. It's not recently that she started asking you to pay.
No, I'm not saying that. No, I know.
Right.
No, I know. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it was brought to my attention a year later. It wasn't brought to my attention before that. Okay.
Well, so what do you think is the reason that she says that to you now? Do you think it's because the divorce got nasty and she's siding?
It could be. I honestly don't know. I can't speak for her. But my daughter was living with her for a long time. And then all this started as soon as my daughter, Michaela, moved out of her home.
Move out of what home?
Her home. My daughter, Michaela, was living with her grandparents at the time. Because I was evicted from my other housing project and I had to move in with somebody else, and my daughter moved in with them because I did not have the space for her.
Okay. And she was how old at that point?
21.
And expecting a baby?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So talk to me about why Grandma, who claims that you said you'd pay for half of the baby shower, do you agree that you're supposed to pay for half of the baby shower?
Absolutely do. I did agree to pay for half of that baby shower. Absolutely, I agree.
And why haven't you paid it?
I haven't paid it because after she asked me for that money for the baby shower, then she brought up all this other stuff for the brakes, the car insurance and all that, when I know it was a gift to me. She gave it to me. She offered to help me when I was going through some very troubling times with her son.
What did he do to you that has you so angry?
He left me for another woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For another woman.
But you know that's not Ms. Durfee's fault, right?
No, I understand that. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I have no remorse. I absolutely understand that.
No animosity towards her for that. You understand that's not her.
No, she's helped me out with everything.
Right.
I would never, no, it's not animosity, no.
Okay, good. How is your daughter did she have the baby already?
Yes, she did.
What'd she have?
She lives in Florida. She had a girl. Her name is Charlotte Rose.
Wonderful. So I see when you reach out to her in March of 2019, in an email saying, I was wondering if you could give a quote on some car insurance. Jason, that's your son, is shopping around and wants to get rid of Allstate, which is fine. I'm looking for a good deal. That would imply that you're supposed to pay. And then I see an email on June 24th of 2019 when she has obtained a policy for you. And she says, do you want me to pay it or just have them send you a bill? Keep in mind, they will not break it down over 12 months like I would. Well, that certainly seems like you're supposed to pay it back.
I honestly don't remember sending that email, but obviously I did.
Then I see an email saying from you on August 20th, because by then she is telling you, you got to pay back, and she's been telling you for some time. And then on August 20th, you write to her, I will get some money to you soon. In October of 2020, she sends you a rather lengthy letter in which she tells you, I just can't let this go any longer. It's been too long. In light of the recent circumstances, this is the last time I'm bringing it up. I would hate to think you're taking advantage of what I thought was a good relationship we had. And we all have to pay our bills, not avoid them. And, she kind of got angry because you managed to book yourself a vacation in Jamaica, was it? Bike week in New Hampshire. You got your tax returns back. You don't have to like me or be part of my life moving forward. That's up to you, but you do have to pay me back. So what happened that you didn't pay her back after saying you would, after I see that you're supposed to from the emails? What happened to make you think that? Maybe you were punishing her for her son's behavior.
No, I was not punishing her for her son's mistakes. Those are her son's mistakes, not hers.
Have you always gotten along well with her?
Absolutely. I lived with her for many times, many times. I've lived with her. I got along with her absolutely great. What happened between me and her son is between me and her son. It has nothing to do with her.
Okay, but when I read to you these emails that show you're supposed to pay her back, kind of means you're supposed to pay her back. What about this $500 for the divorce mediator?
The $500, ma'am, was brought to her in her home in cash. My fiance right now gave me the $500 to give to her. I gave her $500 in cash. She put it in her left pocket. In her home.
You remember the pocket she put it in, but you didn't get a receipt?
No, I didn't. I didn't think I needed to. I trusted this woman.
Ms. Durfee, she says she paid you back the $500. And your testimony on that is what? What's your response?
No, she did not, Your Honor.
Well, let's talk about that because you didn't bring up the $500 until later on in the game. I mean, you had been talking to her about all the other money she owed you, and you didn't bring up the $500. And then in some correspondence, she says, I paid you back the $500. You go, oh, thanks for reminding me. I don't remember you paying me back the $500. You owe me that too. So that's got me a little bit suspicious. Can you address that? That either maybe your memory is not correct on that or...
No, I don't believe my memory is lapsing in any way. She did not pay me back, and I had forgotten about it because I was merely dealing with the documents I had in front of me. And that wasn't something I readily had in front of me. And that reminded me that, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that one.
All right. I'm kind of curious. Where does Michaela fall on this feud between her mom and her grandmother? Ms. Durfee, let me ask you, are you in communication with Michaela? And she's got to feel really bad about this.
I most certainly am on a regular, I would say almost daily basis. We text.
Okay. And I presume you're in contact with your daughter as well, Ms. Slack?
Absolutely, every day.
And does she ever talk about this rift between you and your former mother-in-law?
No. As far as Michaela getting involved between the business between my mother and ex-mother-in-law and me, I think Michaela needs to stay out of that.
I agree. All right. Here's the deal. The $500 for the mediator is a little iffy, only because you never mentioned it and that can happen, like you forget something and it could, that's fine. But then don't tell me I need to rely on you when you say she didn't pay me back because you forgot it even existed. So that the proof is a little iffy on. But as far as I am concerned, on the other things like the policies, it's very clear from the emails that, it's not a free ride, that your mother-in-law expected you to eventually pay her back. And as far as I am concerned, that'll end up in the same category as the car repair and the baby shower, which you actually admit, but still didn't send her the money. So I am ruling in favor of the plaintiff in this case in the amount of $1,353.39. You're going to need to pay her back. Listen, guys, I know Michaela moved. You have one thing very much in common, which is Michaela and Michaela's baby.
We both do, yes.
And hopefully there's going to be a day when she comes back into town and is going to want to get together with everyone she loves at once. And you guys, hopefully, because it looks like you had a good relationship the last 25 years, how many people can look to their ex-mother-in-law for help? You know, think about it in terms of the future generations and try to make an effort to put this behind you after this. So, you know, for the sake of not just Michaela, but Charlotte, because I know that you both love both of them very much. Good luck to you folks.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff prevails to the tune of over $1,300. Ms. Slack, what's your response to this? How do you feel about it?
It's over. It's finally over. That's how I feel. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, but you have to pay the money. Are you surprised
I
she sued
understand
you,
that.
by the way? I mean, did you think she'd ever do that?
No, I would never think my mother-in-law would sue me. No. But it's the judge's final decision, and that's it.
All right. Good luck. Again, you owe her $1,300. Ms. Durfee, you are going to get that money. There's a judgment in your favor for that. How do you feel about that? You don't feel bad about suing her, I guess, do you, at all?
Well, of course I do. Who wants to do that to a family member? But at the same time, I'm not the Bank of England. I can't afford to just put money out there and never get it back.
All right. Well, you made the right move, I guess, because you are going to get that money back.
Honestly, I agree with the verdict 100%, but I would have given her the $500 as well that she says she paid so that the woman could get her divorce squared away with the attorney.
Because you just don't believe anything out of the defendant's mouth.
No, and I do believe Ms. Durfee. I mean, I don't think she.
No, I believe her. I would never think that she was perjuring herself. The reason it was close, but
wasn't
the reason
enough proof for you.
I felt that there wasn't enough proof only because she had neglected to mention it for like almost a year.
Right.
Like this was a long time ago, right? And then while she's telling her, you owe me this, you owe me this, you owe me this, she never mentions the $500.
That's true.
And it isn't until the end that she goes, oh, you owe me the $500 when the defendant mentioned I paid you back.
And if they really wanted to put one over on you,
that's right.
Oh, we
stood there and paid her $3,000.
$500 went in her left pocket, $450 went in her right pocket.
That's kind of how I felt. But I get what you're saying, and I think it's a close call, and that just goes to show you, you know, it's court is always a gamble. It's luck of the draw, and every judge will see things differently.
Absolutely. Different judges on the same floor of the same courthouse are going to make a different call.
Different judges who have lived together for 30 years.
Make different calls all the time. That's right.
Denise wants to know this. Hey, Harvey. My upstairs neighbor is constantly having screaming matches with her 14-year-old daughter at all hours of the night, and I can't take it anymore. What can I do to live in peace? My landlord has done nothing. Here's what I would do. I would go to your landlord and say, I have a legal right, whether it's in the lease or not, to quiet enjoyment. That means reasonable peace and quiet. And if the neighbor is causing you to stay up all night long because of screaming and yelling, you go to the landlord and say the onus is on you. You got to stop them from doing it or evict them. And if you don't do it, I'm going to stop paying rent. That threat may work.